Hello and welcome back to Ballboy Media. I'm LJ and today we are going to be talking about none other than the Golden State Warriors, who have been on a tear as of late since acquiring Jimmy Butler. Let's get right into it. If you're new here, please leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below which team you think is going to win the NBA championship this season. For me, I have to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Their defense is unparalleled to anything I've seen in the game of professional basketball. Regardless, the Warriors are looking like a dark horse contender now after, a great start to the season, then a tough middle part. They seem to be all the way back. They're 5-1 since acquiring Jimmy Butler. This includes wins over Chicago, Milwaukee, Houston, Sacramento, and Dallas, all of whom are in the play-in picture, but really 3 of whom are actually bona fide, playoff contenders, might make a run to the playoffs. Granted, there have been some injuries. Giannis didn't play in the Milwaukee game. Just injuries like that. Dallas is obviously without a center. They split 2 games with them. But the Warriors have a margin of victory of 86 over 6 games, which is on average 14-point win. This is a great stretch for Golden State, and it can be attributed to a myriad of reasons. Jimmy Butler's fit has been nothing but spectacular, and I was a skeptic of this deal. I thought, I don't know if Jimmy Butler, especially giving him that big extension as well, I didn't know quite what the logic in making the move was, given that, what we had seen with Miami wasn't exactly exemplary of what you want as a second star next to Stephen Curry, but he has been incredible this season with the Warriors in a limited sample size, shooting only 46.7%, which is his lowest since 2020. The shooting hasn't come along, but I think that really, he's averaging 20 points per game and he's shooting his poorest mark in 5 years. This is a guy who is really fitting well. 5.7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, really doing a lot of everything for this Warriors team. The three-pointer, he's only connected on 10% of his threes, taking 1.7 attempts per game. Just something to look at. Shot 36.1% when he played with Miami this year, and he's never been a true three-point shooter. He kind of plays the same role as a DeMar DeRozan. He'll get his points from the mid-range and in the paint, was never really a volume sniper like that, but regardless, I expect Jimmy to turn it around, maybe get that up to 30% with the Golden State Warriors for the end of the year. His volume, as I said, isn't going to really carry him that far. One thing he does have volume in, however, is free throw potency. He really has been getting to the stripe at a great rate for the Warriors team. 9.2 free throw attempts a game, shooting 89.1% on them. This is a remarkable asset because the Warriors, are a team that's going to shoot a lot of threes, especially having Stephen Curry as your focal point, and to have Jimmy Butler really dominating from the free throw line is something that you'd love to have and love to see on this team. Returning to success, the Warriors, started the first 51 games of the season. They started with, being outscored by their opponents. They averaged 101.5 points per game, which is nothing to scoff at, but allowed 111.9 points per game. These marks, were and still are, if you look at the season averages, in the middle of the pack in terms of an NBA perspective. But in the last 6 games, they've really turned up on both sides of the ball. They're averaging 121.2 points per game, only allowing 106.8. This team is looking dominant, and, if I'm a team that has a high seed in the Western Conference, I might be a little nervous because we know what Steph brings to the table. We know what Jimmy brings to the table. A couple other things to note. Steph was an all-star starter this year, but really seems like he kind of lost a step. It could have been argued that maybe his all-star starter status was due to winning the fan vote and, over players that may have been more deserving in the Western Conference. But I think he's still in all-star form. I think we've gotten so used to the idea of Steph Curry as a top 5 player that when he starts slipping maybe just outside of the top 10, it gets a little tough to navigate. Regardless, he's still very effective, and since they added Jimmy Butler, he's averaging 29 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. Steph is still here, and he's still alive very much in a crucial way for this Warriors team. He is 37 years old in March 14th, and he's played 1,000 games. He has a lot under his belt, and he has one of the biggest workloads night in, night out in the NBA. But to have Jimmy is really taking a load off him. You can see him play a lot more freely in these games. There's big potential with this team too, and it's a lot of the younger guys that I'm looking at here. Moses Moody has been on a tear recently, averaging 15 points per game on 50.9% from the field, also converting 34.5% of 5.8 3-point attempts a game. You know, obviously you'd like to see that percentage get a little higher, but still, he's making them at a good rate, and plus minus over the last, couple games past 5, he's averaging 10.6 in the plus. This is a guy who has consistently been in the green for this team as of late. Just inked a 3-year, $37.5 million extension this past summer. Moody needed to be big for this team, and he has shown that so far with Jimmy Butler. Obviously when you give up Andrew Wiggins and Dennis Schroeder even, and Kyle Anderson and Lindy Waters, when you send these guys elsewhere, it opens up playing time for a player like Moses Moody, and Moody is making the most of his minutes so far in Golden State. Another thing to watch is Jonathan Kuminga's to-be return. It seems like his return is imminent. He has been injured since January 4th, and the 4 games prior to his injury, first 4 full games prior, he averaged 26.5 points per game. Kuminga is an absolutely electric player, and just to really put it into perspective, he is a baller, and as is Moody, as is Jimmy Butler, and as is Quentin Post. 16 consecutive appearances for this Warriors team. He has only 19 on the year, and he's made an impact as of late. Has been scoring, not at will obviously, but has been getting his buckets when he needs to. He's a spacing threat, really can lace the 3-ball. He's kind of pushed Trace Jackson-Davis out of the rotation, and TJD in the past month, Golden State has played 13 games. He's only played 43 minutes total in those 13 games. He has 6 DNPs. Quentin Post is really taking over his role, and I'm interested to see going forward how Steve Kerr adjusts his rotations to implement both of these centers, who I think are very valuable. Each, bring something else. You have a more prototypical 3-ball shooter with Post, more of a paint threat with TJD. We'll see, but shout out Moses Moody, man. He has really been balling as of late. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to stay tuned for more videos. Hit that subscribe button, and I will be back with more content very soon. Thank you.